All right, y'all, welcome to the Delayed Gratification Podcast, where we talk about building wealth and it taking time, being patient. And we bring on some amazing guests that's going to give you some steps to building wealth and tell you their story so that you're inspired and know that you can do it too. Today, it's getting ready to catch fire in here, y'all. So you may as well get the fire extinguishers out. I got my brother on here, Ash Cash. Ash Cash, welcome to the
in the building, y'all. What up, y'all? I'm taking over. It's Ash Cash, the financial motivator. I'm here with Ramon. We about to. No, I'm just playing. I just wanted to say that.
Man, I love it. I love it. Listen, you know this is really how it's going, right?
Yeah.
So since we started off like that,
yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Man, Ash Cash, the financial motivator, 15-year banking executive, grew up in the St. Nicholas housing projects, and decided that I wanted to go in a different direction with my life. Did everything in banking from teller to personal banker, private banker, branch manager, was a CEO of a credit union. In the words of Jay-Z, the Honorable Sean Carter, there's much bigger issues in the world I know, but I first had to take care of the world I know. So I decided that I wanted to teach my community about how to build wealth instead of spending so much time with people who have already built wealth who don't look like me. And so I decided to become a financial educator. Yes. Started my journey in 2009, wrote my first book, Mind Right, Money Right, 10 Laws of Financial Freedom. Now fast forward 13 years later, I've written 12 books. 4 of them have been bestsellers, have been sold over 100,000 books independently. I've been on every single media outlet you can think of.
Let me. But man, you got like a resume, a financial literacy resume that is super impressive.
Thank you, brother.
Before I met you in person, man, I seen you. I'm like, every time I watch you, I'm like, man, what he got going on? What he drinking? Right? We got Ash Cash, the energy drink, coming soon.
All right, we need that. We need that.
But
it's water, actually.
Let's go prior to 2009.
Yeah.
Because 2009 and now is 13 years.
Yeah.
So this is not overnight, right? But prior to 2009, what were you doing?
I was in the bank. So
in the bank.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's a blessing that the bank was introduced to me. Right.
When was it introduced to you?
I was 19 years old.
Okay.
So quick backstory. I grew up single parent home, in the projects, really no money at all, right? My mom raised 3 of us. I'm the youngest of 3. And so I've been an entrepreneur since 8 years old, right? So I was packing bags at 8 at the local supermarket. I was, selling mixtapes and t-shirts on 125th Street. So like I've always had the entrepreneurship spirit, because I knew that regardless of what my circumstance was, I don't know, it was just something innate in me that told me that abundance is my birthright. Like there's no reason why I should be struggling. And so from that point till about 15 years old, I was always an entrepreneur. Around 15 is when, you start wanting to get money so you could, look fly for the girls and things of that nature. A lot of my friends start hustling, you know what I'm saying? And they start, getting a lot of money. And I remember actually at 17 years old, one of my friends, so if so I grew up in the 90s, right?
Correct.
So if in the 90s, there was a mass incarceration happen.
For sure.
Where between, I want to say like 93 till about like 97, most of the OGs were locked up.
Correct.
And so now you got a bunch of young guys, teenagers in the streets. The drug addicts still want drugs. And then now you got young people with no guidance, like, yo, I want to, I'm gonna fill that in that void. So 2 of my close friends actually, they started to fill the void, and they started getting a lot of money. I'm talking about, they was getting a lot of money. One of my guys had the Chevy Tahoe, and I was riding shotgun all the time. And so at 17, I'm looking at them, and by that time they've already blown up, and they younger than me, so they like 16, 15, 16. Get money. So I said, man, I'm doing that. You know what I'm saying? And I started to go down that path. And I remember I had a conversation with my sister, and my sister like really was like, yo, what do you like? We argued, right? She's like, nah, like mommy wouldn't even want you to do this. You know what I'm saying? And so I told, she was so aggressive with it. I was like, yo, if you give me a job, she was working at Blockbuster at the time, Fast Out the Blockbuster videos. I was like, yo, if you get me a job, I ain't gonna hustle. And I'm just saying that just to get out of my face. But, you know, like the big sis did, she came back and got me a job. And so I started working at Blockbuster. I was 17 years old, did that for about 2 years. In a year, I got promoted to assistant manager. And literally that job saved my life. Yeah, in a year. Because, you know, you are who you are. You know what I'm saying? So I always had that entrepreneurship spirit. So even when I work 9 to 5, I still work it like it's mine. I still work it with an entrepreneurship spirit. So when I got there, whatever the goals were, just let me rip and I'll make it happen. And so by the time, you know, I got promoted to assistant manager, the only way up was to go from assistant manager to store manager. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And one of the young ladies who was actually the assistant manager was working 2 jobs. She was working at Chase at the time, and she was working at Blockbuster. And she was like, yo, my job, which is Chase, she was like, my job is hiring for tellers. You know what I'm saying? Like having an open house.
So you're 17, 18?
So I'm 19 at this time. 19
now,
I'm 19 at this time. And, you know, they're like, yo, they have an open house, you know what I'm saying, come through. So I'm like, yo, I'm already a star, you know, employee at Blockbuster. So I said, what, you know, I ain't got nothing to lose. Went in there, and the rest is history. You know, got the job at Chase.
19 years old.
19 years old. Yep, at Madison Square Garden. And, man, that was the beginning of everything for me. You know,
was that a big, because you say Madison Square Garden, so for me, when I think Madison Square Garden, I think huge.
Mega branch. So I'm talking like, at the time, right? So like now I don't know if banks have this anymore, but at the time, I'm talking about over 20 tellers, right? Because you got to think this is 99, right? Or 2000, right? And so, you know, 20 tellers, you got like 10 bankers. Like it's a real mega branch because this is before, like nobody really goes into banks anymore, but this is before that. This is before everybody having a debit card. This is before all of that. So that's, you know, people, in order to, you know, people still carry cash. Like, I don't know if y'all who watch it, if y'all still carry cash, but this is a time where, you know, people are cashing checks. Like they don't got direct deposit. Gotcha. Like it was a whole
2000.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, so yeah, it was a huge mega branch, which was the blessing, because there was a lot of people and a lot of turnover and there became a lot of opportunity. And so,
like what's you said a lot of opportunity. Why was it such a blessing for you to get a job at 19 at this particular Chase?
Yeah, because when you think about all of the different roles, so first and foremost, like when I'm working at Blockbuster Videos, it's only clerk, assistant manager, store manager. That's it. There's no in between. There's nothing else you could do. I get to the bank, there's teller, there's teller supervisor, there's business teller, there's customer service, there's regular banker, there's private banker, there's financial advisor, there's assistant manager, there's sales manager, there's branch manager, and that's just the branch.
You're breaking the branch down.
Right? Then you got mortgage broker, then you have back office, you have operations manager, you have all these things on the back office. So you go from the only opportunity you have is at Blockbuster, I got one more step to go, and that's it. I'm done. Mm-hmm. Or I'm now in this bank as a teller, and I could choose. There's so many different directions I could go in, and that was the blessing, because all I need to do is see it, right? I'm one of them people where if you just put it in my vision and I know it's possible, I'm a master manifester. I will manifest anything. And that's exactly what I did. I got there. You know, I do this weird thing people might not understand, but I sit and I just look. I don't say nothing. I'm just looking. And what I'm doing is I'm like ingesting the environment, seeing and visualizing it. So that way in my mind, I could actually create it in my real life. And one of the things, and that's why representation is important, is that the branch manager of that branch was a Black Jamaican man, Michael Black. Shout out to Michael Black.
22 years ago.
22 years ago.
Wow.
Which is a big deal to be in Madison Square Garden, one of the, it was a commuter branch, so it was always busy. We made a lot of money at that branch. And when I used to see him walk the floor, it was a big, gigantic branch. He had a suit on and he would walk. And I'd be like, yo, this guy is the boss of everybody. White, Black, Asian, everybody reports to him. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to do that.
So that inspired you.
100%. Yeah. And then, the rest was just kind of history. 8 months after being a teller, I was promoted to customer service. Then from customer service, I was a banker, just a regular banker opening accounts. Then I wound up becoming a private banker, which that actually changed my life, period, as far as how I look at wealth. Because as a private banker, I managed money for those who had $250,000 in investable assets or more. So this wasn't everyday people.
You were really young.
Yeah, I was young, man. I ran my first branch. I was a VP at 24, right? So they said I was going to be dead or in jail by 25. By 24, I was a VP. Whoever they are, the neighborhood, the streets, statistics, CNN. You know what I'm saying? ABC, whoever, like the media. Yes. At that particular time, there was this narrative. They called us super predators at one time. So there was this narrative about black boys specifically that our life didn't matter, and that we were gonna be dead or in jail, like just and the neighborhood, the cops, everybody tried to push that narrative, and so it's a proud moment to know that at 24 years old that I'm telling people what to do. I'm guiding people. I'm helping other people build wealth. And yeah, it was a blessing. And
so you were a VP.
Yeah.
At 24.
At 24 years old. Yeah.
What did that? I mean, I know you said it made you feel good, but when you were first starting at that branch, could you have imagined being there 5 years, moving through the ranks over that 5 years?
Yeah.
That fast. You saw it already.
I saw it already. Yeah. Because for me. Once I knew, I think Blockbuster did it for me, right? Once I knew my potential and I saw that I started at Blockbuster at 17, by 18 I got promoted. I was like, okay, so this is my norm. Because what happens is, again, even in the streets, when I was packing bags at 8 years old, there was levels to packing bags. So for those who don't know, right now, I don't think people do it anymore, but back in the day in the supermarket, they would let kids pack, people's grocery bags, and then you would get tips,
yes.
But there was levels to it. You had the people who got change, and then you had the people who were able to get dollar bills by walking old ladies to their apartment, things of that nature. And again, I'm an observer. So I observed how who got the most money. So I do this in everything, even now as an entrepreneur, right? And I know we're going to get there, but as an entrepreneur, I'm an 8-figure entrepreneur now.
Ooh.
I saw it though. All I needed to do was be around it. Like when I first started, I was making 5 figures and all that. I'm looking, I'm like, all you gotta do is point them out. Show me one person who's made 8 figures as an entrepreneur. I got you. I bet you I'm gonna make 8 figures. So same thing.
And we're gonna come back to that.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
I gotta come back to that.
For sure, right? So now we go and we look, and I'm like, all right, who's the one getting the most money? All right, so I'm gonna study that person. I'm gonna watch them. All right, success leaves clues, right? I'm gonna study that person, and I got it. Same thing, when I was selling mixtapes and T-shirts on 125th Street, I said, yo, who's getting the most money? All right, let me study. All right, I got it. When I got the Blockbuster, I said, yo, who's getting the most money, right? Oddly enough, it wasn't the store manager, because I realized that the assistant manager, right, has a skill set, and they could bounce around from store to store so they could get money on overtime. So I said, I'm gonna be assistant manager. I got to a teller, I was like, yo, who's getting the most money? You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it was always sort of like studying. And when I realized that the banker made the most money, it wasn't even the branch manager.
What does the banker do?
The banker is the one who opens up the accounts. They open up the accounts. They get you to get the mortgage, the home equity, the 401ks, the investment. Right. So they're the gateway, right? So but peep this. The branch manager gets a salary, mm-hmm. and then gets a percentage of what the bank makes based on it hitting its goals. So if the bank doesn't hit its goals, the branch manager gets nothing.
No bonus.
No bonus.
Okay.
They have to reach their goal first, and then they get a bonus after they hit their goal. The banker, though, doesn't have to hit their goal to get a bonus. they get a bonus for everything they sell.
Never knew that.
Right? So for me, I was killing it. Right? I was number one in annuities, number one in home equities. Like, I was killing it. And so I knew I would get there. I knew I would get there because as I think very highly of myself. I don't think less of people though.
Yes. Right?
So what I do is I say if Jay-Z could do it, I could do it. Right? So one of my goals is to become a billionaire, a project billionaire, because that's important to me. I believe that people need to see it. Mm-hmm. And so I have a deep affinity, just because I'm from the projects, I have a deep affinity to break a mold and say, you don't have to sell drugs, you don't have to be an entertainer, you don't have to play ball in order to amass wealth. And so I said, I want to become a billionaire who came from the projects. And so all I need to do is see it. So I watch, Jay did it? I bet. So now I have my model, and that's an ultimate goal of mine. But all I need to do is see it. So to your question, did I know I would get there? Yes. Because there's nothing that I don't believe is impossible, but I do believe in divine timing though, right? And so I don't force anything. Like, I knew, like, where I'm at right now, I was on this journey 10 years ago, right? Delayed gratification. I was on this journey 10 years ago. And so where I see financial education, where it is today, yes, that was my vision 10 years ago, right? But certain, God is the best planner though. And so I'm not going to tell the creator what I want, then dictate how I'm going to get it. That's foolish to me, right? Because I can't see all. The creator can see all.
That vision though, and we all don't have the same vision.
Yeah.
You got the vision and something else burning inside you.
Yeah.
Because just the way I've watched you over time, the way you put it out, even right now.
Yeah.
Like you saying, I saw it, and I saw it as a kid. I already had something as a kid.
Yeah.
What do you think that is, and how do you cultivate it?
I think it's called gratitude. The narrative of being dead or in jail plays over in my head over and over again. I got kicked out of school 4 times though, right? I got kicked out in the 6th grade.
Wow.
I actually 6 years old. So in the 1st grade, I got kicked out in the 1st grade. I was 6.
What were you doing in the 1st grade?
Fighting. I was very angry. My father wasn't around. I blamed him for everything. Always been a big husky guy, so I'm good with these. You know what I'm saying? And so I was angry. So I was taking it. So for me, it was almost like my dad didn't want me, and so F the world.
Got you.
And so I was fighting in the 1st grade, got kicked out. In the 5th grade, I got kicked out for fighting again. Oddly enough, when in hindsight, it wasn't like I was anti-bully though. So when somebody hears that I was fighting, you might think, oh, he was a bully. I was actually anti-bully, right? Meaning that even to this day, I'm the voice of the underdog. Every time somebody tries to ish on somebody that I know got power, I use my power to amplify their voice.
Gotcha.
Right? Think about my podcast, Inside the Vault with Ash Cash, the greatest money mindset show on the planet. I bring on people that have great knowledge that the world tries to act like they don't have this knowledge. And so I use who I am, I use my voice to amplify people. So now I'm a bully or I'm anti-bully on a camera, right? So I'm doing the same thing. Before I responded with violence, yes. Now I respond with my voice. And so I got kicked out. I got kicked out in the 5th grade. A bully was picking on somebody.
You stepped in.
I stepped in and said, nah, it's not happening.
You're doing that for the people now.
The bully said, what? And we got into a tussle. Obviously, the winner always looked like the aggressor.
Yes.
And so even though he was the bully and I seemed like the aggressor because I shut the bullying down, I now, you know what I'm saying, got kicked out. Got kicked out in the 9th grade for fighting. And then I got expelled in the 10th grade being in the wrong place, wrong time. I wasn't even fighting. It was, it was gangs, at that time. This had to be like 93, I want to say.
90s, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a lot of gangs. I wasn't in the gang, but I knew everybody. Like I still got respect. And there was a gang fight, and they was like, there's no way Ash wasn't there. Like, he was there. I'm like, I wasn't even there. You know what I'm saying? But either way, I got expelled.
Wasn't no phone, wasn't no recordings.
None of that.
Prove, yeah.
They and the deans and the principal, they was like, yeah, he was there. So they just threw me in that bunch. I got expelled. Did the 10th grade over. Played with guns. I never sold any drugs, but I was the stash a couple. That's actually how I got the name Ash Cash, though, too. But I've always had the stash. I always held the stash for some of my drug dealer friends. Statute of limitation is done, so I'm good. And so I owe, right? Back to your question, the fire comes from gratitude.
Yes.
Because majority, I think it's only 2 of us out of all the guys that I grew up with. It's only me and one other guy who didn't die or go to jail.
That's an amazing statistic.
Just me and one other guy. Every single other one of my friends, some are not here, God rest their souls, and some are sitting up. Like, I got a friend doing 65 years.
That's crazy.
I got a friend who he just came home, or he came home like a while ago, but he did 9.5 years for 10 murders. Like, every one of my friends have records. Clean. Right? I can't work at no bank with no record. So I'm like, yo, God, I'm a banker. Yo, I was one of the youngest CEOs of a federally chartered bank. I was 31 years old. A CEO of a bank, of a federally chartered bank?
Hold on, you went from 24
Sheesh.
VP of Chase.
Yeah.
Tell me, how do we get to 31?
Yeah,
CEO.
So it wasn't all upward. 24 VP at Chase. Left the bank to become an entrepreneur. That didn't really work out. Started a music company with my friends. That didn't really work out. We did that for a couple of months. I mean, we made a lot of buzz, but I was handling the business. I wasn't no rapper, nothing like that, but I was handling the business. That didn't work out. Went back to work. And then I started to, I did private banking for about 1.5 years, 2 years.
So you quit Chase.
Yeah.
And went back to Chase.
No, so when I quit Chase, I actually went to Bank of America.
Okay.
So I quit Chase, and did the music thing for a while. And then after the music thing didn't work, I went to Bank of America, partly because I was a banker at Chase, but Bank of America was looking for new people to they had a management a branch management program. So I wound up going into Bank of America as an assistant manager and to get into management. Okay. Realized that I didn't want that, it got too retail bankish for me, so I didn't want to do that. Like, it felt like Bank of America was the first bank to turn their branches into like retail stores. So it felt like H&M. It felt like this fast-paced thing. I didn't really like that. And so I wound up, that's when I got into private banking. And so I worked right at the GM building by FAO Schwartz, right on Fifth Avenue, and that's where I started working with like the wealthy individuals. So I had a book of 400 clients, mass affluent clients who my most wealthiest client was worth $22 million. And so I did that for about 2.5 years, learned a lot. Wound up
exposed to a lot.
Exposed to a lot, absolutely.
Okay.
Wound up going back to Chase because the private banking stuff wasn't, again, it was, I'm a people person, so I was too isolated. And so I went back to Chase and got into their branch management program.
Okay.
And that's how I really got, like, I used everything that I knew, private banking, branch, assistant manager, teller. I used all that to be a better leader. So Chase started, so I'm a great marketer. I'm great at marketing. So Chase realized that, and they started using me, and not in a negative way, but they started using me to open up their new branches. Mm-hmm. So they had just bought Bank of New York. And so for those who, so Chase is a bunch of banks put together. Mm-hmm. People don't realize that now, but Chase is Manufacturers Hanover, Chase Manhattan Bank, Bank One out of Ohio, Washington Mutual. Huge. Like they bought a lot of banks. Bank of New York. And what they would do is when they buy these banks, they would rebrand them, put them as Chase. But a lot of these banks, this was Chase's first time in this area. Even though it was a big brand, no one in Westchester County knew Chase. Okay. They only knew Bank of New York. And so they would need new ways to get the community to adopt their brand. And so, that's what I was that guy. I was the guy where, I managed the branch in Yonkers. I managed the branch in Tuckahoe. There's really a place in New York called Tuckahoe. You know what I'm saying? And so I managed the branch in Tuckahoe. And then I went to Co-op City in the Bronx. So I became that guy where I was just opening up and I was doing, getting bigger and bigger branches, making a lot of money for the bank, not necessarily for myself because I wasn't there long enough to get the bonuses. They would just use me. I was young, so I didn't know. Eventually, in 2008 when the recession hit, the banks didn't know what it was. So there was a lot of pressure on everybody to meet these outlandish numbers. And so I wound up deciding to leave to go to Carver Bank, which is at the time the largest black bank in the country. And so I worked at Carver Bank.
So you left Chase again?
Yeah, I left Chase again.
Okay.
Went to Carver Bank, and I was managing about $180 million in assets in their Harlem branch, which was historic for me because I'm the kid from Harlem, right? Who wreak havoc in the neighborhood. Harlem. Now I'm managing $180 million in Harlem, right? Did that for about 2 years, I want to say. Wound up quitting to be an entrepreneur again, right? Okay. To be an entrepreneur again. At that time, I had wrote my first book. I was on Hot 97, Black Enterprise. I started thinking that fame equals money, but it didn't.
Oh, it doesn't?
It doesn't, nope.
Okay.
And so as I'm making all this fame, right? Yes. I wind up saying, you know what? I quit. So I left Carver Bank. I said, I quit. I'm gonna be.
You left the black-owned bank.
I left the black-owned bank, and said, I quit. I'm gonna be on television. I'm gonna I'm gonna sell 1 million books, and I'm gonna be the best.
How did that go?
Man, I almost fell flat on my face. Man, almost went into foreclosure. Car almost repossessed. Not knowing how I was gonna eat. Right, because you got to think about it. The one thing I didn't say is that. I became a homeowner very early. So
were you single?
No. So my wife and I, we were married. So I've been with my wife 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you, brother. So I actually met my wife at Chase. So shout out to Chase, man. A lot of history there.
Chase did you a lot of good.
Oh, they did a lot of good for me. So I actually met my wife at Chase. She was a teller and I was a banker. We met in 2001. Started dating in 2003. So, 2023, it'll be, 20 years since we've been together. Been married 15 years. My daughter's 14. So, a year after we got married, we had our first kid. We have 2 kids now, 14 and 7. And so at 25, my wife and I, we bought our first home together. And so now I have this mortgage. I'm living this 6-figure lifestyle when I decided to quit. So now I decided to quit. Can't afford the mortgage. Can't afford the car note. My daughter's 2 years old at the time. Can't afford to feed her. Even though I was making money though, right? So as an entrepreneur, I was making about 60 grand.
Okay.
Somebody might think, oh my God, a new entrepreneur making 60 grand is good. No, it's not good if you have a 6-figure lifestyle.
Because you created a lifestyle as a branch manager of the different levels of banking.
Exactly.
So you was making 6 figures there.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so now, I wound up having to, I even threw myself a retirement party, bro.
When you quit Carver?
When I quit Carver. I threw myself a retirement party. I was just about to turn 30. I was 29, just about to turn 30. I did a retirement party at the 40/40 Club.
You was balling.
Yo, I invited everybody. We popped bottles. We got pictures, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
You still got the pictures?
Probably on Facebook.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Probably on Facebook, which is why it was a embarrassing and humbling time for me, because when I realized that I'm about to go to, if I continue this entrepreneurship journey, I'm going to stay broke. And I'm not going to be able to, I didn't really understand entrepreneurship at that level. You know what I'm saying? I thought fame equals money. So I thought now that everybody saw me on Hot 97 and Black Enterprise, that the business would start coming, but it didn't. I got one contract, teaching financial literacy to foster care kids. And, again, that was between that and speaking engagements, it equals 60 grand, but it wasn't enough. You know what I'm saying? So I wound up having so great thing, I had a great resume. So I wound up going back to work, and I'm at Citibank this time.
Wow.
Another
big bank.
Yeah, another big bank. And oddly enough, my first store manager who managed me at Blockbuster, shout out to Edwin Cintron. Edwin was the store manager at Blockbuster when I left. We kept a good relationship. He wound up going to banking as well after we left, but he went to banking and he was a big boss at Citibank. So now, as I'm doing my workshops, he said, "Hey, Ash, I'm proud of you, whatever." And then, he was trying to help me get a financial literacy deal with Citibank. By the time he introduced me to his bosses, they were like, "Yo, I love this guy's story. Do you think he would come back to work? Do you think he would come? Because we have this branch in Harlem. He's from Harlem. We got this branch in Harlem on 145th Street that has $45 million worth of assets, but we need somebody like him, his personality, somebody from the neighborhood to run that bank." And at the time,
it was right on time.
Right on time. I was like, I said, yes, where do I sign? So went back to Citibank. And while I was at Citibank, I was still doing my financial literacy stuff. I got introduced to a gentleman who, ran a big nonprofit out in Long Island City, Queens. And he was thinking about starting up a credit union. And then I was doing my thing. Somebody at Citibank introduced me to him, and then they hired me as the CEO of the credit union.
So you left Citibank and went over to the new credit union.
Yeah.
Okay. So now fast forward. You said something to me, and you said something to all of us. You said you're an 8-figure entrepreneur.
Yeah.
8 figures.
Yeah.
Woo, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. 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 I think that just being able to understand who I am, understand the value that I provide for my clients, my customer base, allowed me to be able to generate a lot of money, right? I mean, it comes with the impact first, and at first I didn't understand my impact, but as I have a top podcast.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. That I've helped people make millions of dollars through my podcast, right? Through being able to introduce them, like I said earlier, as the underdog, introduce these new people into this world, and they have a product or service, and then through introducing that product or service, they're able to make millions of dollars. I have fat shout to I won't give them their name, right, just in case, but they they were on the show, they were able to make $1.6 million. You know what I'm saying? And so using that as a tool, I'm someone that, because I have been an independent publisher for over 12 years, I know the self-publishing game in and out. And so I've been able to create a empire, if you will, of helping other authors, but create 6- and 7-figure businesses.
I got a question about that. I'm gonna come back to it, but 8-figure entrepreneur, empire, and you're going to multi-billions, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't happen overnight, because I just heard your story.
Yeah.
So 100%. A lot of times we'll see folks, and we'll see you where you are today, and like, man, I just learned about him, so you feel like it happened overnight.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talk about here on the Delayed Gratification podcast is delayed gratification.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah, delayed gratification just means God's timing to me. That's it. When you say delayed gratification, that means God's timing. That means that have a vision, focus on the vision, know that there's going to be ups and downs that happen within that vision, and through those ups and downs, you're eventually going to get to your destination, right? Don't make decisions that are going to allow you to create instant gratification, because that instant gratification isn't God's timing. That instant gratification is going to take you off of the path to prosperity, right? So you want to stay on the path, and so you have to accept delayed gratification, right? Because no just means not now. It doesn't mean you can't have it. It just means that there are a set of circumstances that have to happen in order for you to get to this space, right? Like I just said to you, I celebrated 20 years, or I will be celebrating 20 years with my wife. Had I took instant gratification, right, and went after the money, because the money was always there.
Yes.
I could have went after the money, but I wouldn't be able to tell you that my wife and I have been together that long. We got 2 kids together. Like, we've been through the ups and downs together, but that's going this way.
But the ups and downs worth smiling this 20-year.
Oh, 100%.
You're excited about 20 years.
100%.
I just heard you say 2023.
100%.
You met in 2001. You started dating in 2003, and now you're looking forward to that 20-year mark.
That's my life partner. That's my best friend.
What did you, other than chasing the money, do you think you sacrificed anything else so that you could get to this 20 years? Anything?
Oh, absolutely. I sacrifice friends. I sacrifice going out, partying, clubbing. I sacrifice women, right? Because even though my wife had been, we've been together that long, as my power started to increase, the level of women that were, and this is just being honest, the level of women that were, even with a ring, like, they start throwing themselves at you. And so, but the good thing about the sacrifice is that the sacrifice wouldn't have been worth it. Right? I could have had the women. I could have had the clubs. I could have had, fill in the blank. But when I look at the foundation that I built right now, the foundation that's solid, where, my kids get to grow up in a 2-parent home.
Yes.
My kids get to see, my wife and I work together. We're business partners. So she run the operations. I'm the pretty face. You know what I'm saying? But my wife runs the operations. And so now when we go on business trips, the kids are with us, they get access to that. We get to break a mold, right? Her dad wasn't around.
Yes.
My dad wasn't around. You know what I'm saying? Now we get to show our kids something different. And so the sacrifices that the things I had to sacrifice is actually, it wasn't really, in hindsight, wasn't even really a sacrifice, because, you
knew what you wanted, though.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Knew what I wanted. Understood that, I have this saying that says abundance is your birthright. It's in the back of my jacket.
I love it when you say it too, man.
And what I believe, though, is because abundance is my birthright, I don't have to force anything. That doesn't mean I don't have to work. It just means that I have to go with the flow, right? So I'll give you a prime example. If we're in a boat right now and we want to get to the top of a hill, right? And we're in a boat and the water's going like this. I could turn the boat and try to paddle uphill.
Yes.
Right? And do all this work just to get up. Or if I turn the boat around, the currency is going this way anyway. Maybe I let the currency take me down and push me up, opposed to having to struggle going up. And so when I say divine alignment, when I say go with the flow, when I say abundance is your birthright, you just have to allow abundance. You have to allow it to happen. And that just means, turn the boat around. Go with the flow. There's a natural flow of things.
What does that look like in business, though? Because see, a lot of the times you look at now, Instagram and social media, people are like overnight, seriously.
Yeah.
It's like it's getting there.
Yeah.
And they don't want to sacrifice anything, or they get frustrated and quit because those ups and downs, you going out into the music industry, you going out on your own making $60,000 when you spending $100,000. Most people would have quit. Right?
Yeah.
Why is that, and how do we combat that? What do you tell us to do when we're going through that up and down?
Yeah, the up and down build character. The up and down is necessary, right? The butterfly goes through 4 stages. It goes through the egg stage. It goes through the caterpillar stage. It goes through the chrysalis stage. It goes through the butterfly stage. If you're the egg, you're just starting out, and you want to be this beautiful butterfly, you're going to have to crawl. You have to crawl some, right? Get your legs up. But then when you become that chrysalis, you're going to have this hard shell, this hard thing that's happening. if you don't go through trying to break out of the chrysalis with your wings, you never become the butterfly. In fact, those who want to escape this stage, if somebody comes and helps them out and cuts the shell, the chrysalis, that butterfly is gonna die. Why? Because its wings are not strong enough to fly. And so the mere fact that it's trying to break out, like all this movement is building the strength in its wings. So entrepreneurs, y'all don't want to go through anything because you want instant gratification. But I'm telling you, instant gratification is going to kill you. Instant gratification is going to kill you, right? Think about this. Like, think about something pleasurable. And now think about having all that pleasure at once. Nah, it's going to kill you. Like, literally. It's going to bring a shock to your brain. You will have a heart attack.
Which is why so many people, when they win the lottery, go broke.
Exactly. Because they didn't go through anything. Mm-hmm. They didn't build foundations. They didn't go through ups and downs, right? I had to go through foreclosure in order to know that I gotta stop working hard for money. I had to. Imagine if once I quit my job, God would have gave me millions of dollars. I wouldn't understand. I would be one of those rappers. I would be the lotto person because now I got all this money, but even as a banker, I didn't realize that I gotta change my relationship with money. Instead of working hard for money, money needs to work hard for me. So now,
what does that mean?
That means, right, stop allowing your physical labor to be how you, meet your necessities, how you build wealth. You have to take money, put money in an asset, let that asset be the cash flow that gives you the money. Right? And so I wouldn't own property. I wouldn't have stocks, bonds, and, businesses and things that give me cash flow so I don't have to focus on my physical labor if I didn't go through that. If I didn't go through the foreclosure. So I'm proud of that. I'm happy that I went through that.
What was your first asset that you invested in that has helped you grow to where you are now? Like, what's that thing? And I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah.
But what's that main thing? Because I saw you speak recently.
Yeah.
And you gave us like 15 ways to make money.
Yeah.
Right. What's the first thing that you did?
Yeah.
After you went through the 2 phases of entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
What was that thing that got you going? Got you on the radio? What is it?
Yeah. So the first thing is books. Right. But the first thing that actually got me out of working hard for money was where you play, was real estate, right? Because after I almost lost that home, I now started investing in duplexes in the Bronx.
In the Bronx?
In the Bronx. And so now, as I'm renting those things out, that's how I was able to leave my job the second time, right? Because I have enough cash flow coming in from my real estate properties where I don't have to make 6 figures no more. Right, because I'm making $50,000 a year off of real estate, and I all I gotta do is collect a check.
How did you go from almost going to foreclosure?
Yep.
To buying more real estate? What's that gap?
Yeah. So salute to President Obama. A lot of us were going through the same thing at the same time because this is like 2009-ish. And so what happened was there was the making home affordable, right? And what happened was, the property that I bought we bought it for $425, right?
The one that you're living in.
The one I'm living in.
Okay.
We had family, in the property, so we didn't have it structured the right way, if you will, meaning that we could have had it as a duplex, but we used it all for us, right? Okay. So what wound up happening was from $425, the property value went down to about $200,000
in 2009,
right?
Yeah.
So now, but that's why I couldn't afford it because I'm still paying a mortgage on $425. So what wound up happening, make it home affordable, readjusted. We did a loan modification. So now with me going back to work and now this house being adjusted at $250,000, that's light work. I could do that. In addition to that, we did some construction in the house. It was big enough and we created another entryway where now we created a 1-bedroom apartment. Wow. And so now we were able to, not only the mortgage was now like $1,200, we were able to get a tenant to pay us $1,500. So now mortgage freedom.
Whew.
Mortgage freedom. Never have to pay mortgage again. Then now I got a job. My wife's working. All right, let's rinse and repeat. Let's do it again. Able to create mortgage freedom through real estate. Now I can focus on my books. Now I can say, you know what? I quit and don't have to worry about.
You quit again?
But yeah. I keep quitting.
You keep quitting
the
jobs.
Quitting. Yeah, I kept quitting the job.
The entrepreneur fire was burning.
Was always burning
since 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
So now we got the real estate.
Yeah.
The book.
Man. So books. So what I realized, and this was the blessing. What I realized is that I wrote my first book in 2009. I never gave up. Kept pushing myself as a financial educator, and I was dropping a book like every year. Right. I want to say my first break, if you will, as an author was 2013.
4 years later.
Yeah, I wrote a book called What the FICO, 12 Steps to Repaying Your Credit. I was writing for allhiphop.com, fast shout to All Hip Hop. And then, they were exposing me to about 7 million people, each month. Wow. And then the Griot at the time was owned by MSNBC, and I was writing for the Griot as well. And I did an article about money, about, how to build your credit. And so MSNBC picked up that article, and then it went viral. That's before viral was even a thing.
Viral, yeah.
It went viral, and then I sold a lot of copies of that book, What the FICO. And so from there, that's where the light bulb came. I was like, man, when I first wrote my first book, I was making maybe $200 a month. Then I wrote my second book. That increased to like $500 a month. Then I wrote my third book. And so then I got to a space where I was like, wow, the more books I write, the more residual income I have. And so now I'm at a space where at 12 books, the minimum that I'll make off of a book is about $4,500, or like all of my books combined. The minimum I'll make is about $4,500, maximum about $12,000 on average. So you're talking anywhere between $4,500 to $12,000 a month of just passive incomes based on something I did one time. And
pay the house note now.
Absolutely.
So now we got rental income.
Yep.
Got the books.
Yep. Have my mentorship. Right. And so, mentorship program where, I charge $35,000 for a year for people who want to learn how to create 6 and 7 figure businesses. Or so anybody who wants to learn how to create 15 streams of income from their book. I have a coaching program where me and my team will do everything for you and help you set it up. That's at $35,000.
So I write a book. You show me 15 ways.
15 ways. Wow. 15 ways to and I. Numbers and everything, right? 15 ways. I'll set up a lot of. I'll even ghostwrite it. If you're too busy, I'll even get my team to ghostwrite the book for you. So all you gotta do is tell me your vision, and then we'll get it out there for you. And one of my, I've had one client has done 7 figures already. I've had multiple clients who've made 6 figures. I had a client who did 200,000 in 10 months based on what we taught them. And then I got my Path to Prosperity. Then I got my brothers Marvin, my brother Storm, Leroy.
Man, shout out to Marv, Storm. And this movement that y'all got going on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
We got the books, we got real estate, man, the family, it was going great.
Yeah.
It's taking time though.
Yeah, 100%.
This is a 20-year journey that we're talking about. But man, over the past year.
Yeah.
Man, it's a whole different level.
Yeah,
man.
we've been going crazy.
What sparked this new path, this new movement with you guys?
Yeah. So I think what started it was really my relationship with Storm first. Storm has been so me and Storm met I want to say about 6 years ago.
Okay.
Playing basketball, you know what I'm saying? Like
we ain't gonna get into that today.
Yeah, we're not gonna get into that. But no, but it's funny how when we have basketball conversation, he forget that it was a Kobe and Shaq thing. He lucked out. He was on my team.
Whoa. He was who?
It was the Kobe and Shaq thing.
You was Shaq.
I was Shaq.
And he was Kobe.
He was Kobe. So we was getting buckets together. So I don't know. That's another story. We could talk about that later, right? But we met about 6 years ago, playing ball. You know what I'm saying? Like I was, you know what I mean? Like we was doing our 1-2 Kobe and Shaq thing. I knew he was getting money on the real estate side. I don't think he really knew what I was doing, you know, as a financial educator with books and all that stuff or whatever. Fast forward, we reconnected, where, you know, he started, you know, doing his mentorship and, you know, he's out and about showing, you know, his knowledge and what he's doing. And I was like, oh yeah, that's my guy Storm. And so, you know, he reached out to me, and he was just, you know, asking about, advice on how to like build an online presence, because he didn't have an online presence at the time. And so, you know, we working together, helping him get an online presence. I was tapping into him for his knowledge, because he was teaching me how to get my house out my name, right? So I didn't have that knowledge, so he was teaching me how to get my house out my name and trust and wills and things of that nature. And so we just developed a relationship. He, you know, wound up being a very solid individual to the point where, he was doing things that I wasn't asking him to do, but just as a way to respect our relationship, to show that he wasn't taking advantage of the relationship. And then we just built from there. And that was one of the things where I realized, I'm like, man, this guy's voice is really powerful. And I have a platform, so I need to do whatever I need to do to amplify his voice. And that's how it started. He wound up, being a guest on my show, Inside the Vault. At the time of this recording, he is the highest viewed show, on the show. I think he's at like 550,000 views.
Wow.
On the show. And so that was, me and Storm. So we got into business together. We partnered together. We started making a lot of money together early, right? Then fast forward, same thing with Marvin. I knew Marvin. He was, running in the same circles, that we ran in. And then he wanted to be on my show as well. And so, had him come on the show. He didn't really have a large social media following, but same thing. I was like, man, this guy's talking this become your own bank stuff. Yo, he's powerful, right? I'm like, yo, he's a powerful brother. Yes. So I said, let me throw him on the show. He killed it, right? At the time of this recording, he's number 2, right? Higher, you know what I'm saying? He's at 450,000 or something like that.
Great information.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so that was amplifying his voice. And then, even him, he was a solid individual who was somebody who showed great character, was always, wanting to do right or whatever. So we kind of built the relationship outside of the show, and then we just started getting to know each other. As we started to connect more, we realized there was so much synergy between what all three of us were doing, right? We could help people make, manage, and multiply money, right?
Say that again.
We can help people make, manage, and multiply money. Like we are the trifecta, as they call us. Yes. If you take what I do, where I can help people create multiple streams of income. So that's not all what I do, right? So I'm the mindset architect. So I can help you change your mindset. So I'm the financial motivator. I'll give you the motivation you need to get your finances to the next level, give you the basic skill set that you need, and I'll teach you how to make money from nothing. 15 streams of income. Storm is going to teach you how to, have your job become your first business partner, yes. Right? And how to become a multi-millionaire while you're working a 9-to-5. Marvin's going to teach you how to become your own bank. So now you make all this money. Now, how do you use that same?
I got chills, man.
How do you use that same money and have it, like Marvin says, have money babies, right? Have that money, work 5 times for you, right? And so we got together and we said we got something powerful. We decided to do a 5-day challenge together, where we were gonna, go out to the community and introduce ourselves. And it was a one-off. We were like, yo, let's just do this challenge together. Let's put all our offers together, and create this mentorship. We went out, we were able to generate over $7 million that first time. Ooh. And so we kind of looked at each other like, nah, we got something going here. So we said, let's do it again. Did it again, was able to generate $9 million. And we're like, whoa, hold on. And so now, from the momentum of it, we decided to put on, the Path to Prosperity conference, mega conference, and we were able to get TD Jakes, Grant Cardone, Myron Golden, Ian Dunlap, Wall Street Trapper, Matt Garland, like all these power hitters, and we'll probably end the year probably 20 million, I would say, but it's a movement that not only is necessary, it's helping people learn how to get on the path of prosperity, but it's also a movement that is helping propel us individually, right? And so as a unit, as we rise, all of our individual brands also are starting to rise. And so, watching, Storm, have hundreds of thousands, starting from 4,000 followers. Now you got hundreds of thousands. Now when we in the airport, people are like, yo, Storm, like that. People recognize him now. People recognize, we was in the Bahamas and a guy ran up to Marvin, like nervous, like, yo, you're that guy. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to have that in such a short amount of time, it's not the success. So it's like the fruits of the labor we're starting to see in a short amount of time.
But y'all been putting in the work.
We've been putting in the work, right?
Oh,
it's like a tree though, right?
Yeah.
So you think about, this tree, all you see is the sprout, but you don't know that, the roots was doing this thing in the bottom. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what we were doing. Like we were growing the roots. We were doing all that. And so now when this tree starts to sprout, a lot of people think it's an overnight success, but I'm gonna tell y'all, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. At least. 10 years at least.
Can people wait that long? Can they delay their gratification to wait 10 years? Because 10 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Even though it goes by fast.
Yeah, I think, here's what I would say about that, right? Because can you have some success and not wait 10 years? Absolutely.
Yes.
Without a doubt. That's like we see it all the time. Like we see a lot of people who became millionaires during the pandemic quickly, right? Cool. And I'm not saying to go slow. I'm actually telling you to go fast. But as you go fast, make sure you're building your foundation at the same time. Abundance is your birthright. And is better than or. So I'm not going to tell you to choose massive success or building a foundation. I'm going to say and. Get massive success and build your foundation at the same time. So that way, the success is not a fluke. You know what would be horrible? For you to experience a level of freedom and then it be taken away from you.
Horrible.
That'd be horrible. Like I live my life, like I could travel anywhere. I've been on jets. I go on vacation 4 or 5 times with the whole family and we sit first class, right? We went out and I want y'all to paint that picture. We went out the country to Peru for my wife's birthday. Me, my wife, my daughter, my son, right? First class. Like that was a grip.
That's beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing. And so this lifestyle that I love, that I cherish, that I appreciate, imagine if tomorrow I got to go to coach. No disrespect to coach.
Yes.
Right? Because sitting in first class is not about people looking at you. It's about the access. It's about the convenience. It's about getting on first and getting off first. It's about getting my cranberry juice and my bags of chips. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm saying that like I know that I'm premium.
Yes.
So as a premium person, I only deserve premium experiences
And a premium life.
in a premium life. So everything for me is VIP, right? But imagine being in that space and enjoying that, and then it being taken away. So you want to have massive success, but you also want to have a foundation where it's unshakable.
Yes. Listen, I got 2 things before we this has been church.
Man.
It's been church.
Man, I appreciate you.
Woo, man. So one thing I want to ask is 5 to 10 years from now.
Yeah.
You got a goal.
Yeah.
Right? What are you willing to delay right now to achieve that goal in, let's call it 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah. So in 5 years, I will be the CEO of a $1 billion conglomerate through mergers and acquisitions and leverage buyouts, right? And I'm willing to sacrifice. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there. One of the things that I know I have to sacrifice is socializing. If it's not, even at this space as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of times that my entrepreneur friends have parties and they want to pop bottles and they want to celebrate their success. But at the end of the day, I'm not against celebrating, but I also know I have a bigger vision in mind. I have an opportunity. God has given me the vision, and I don't think God would give me the vision without giving me ways to accomplish that vision. I believe that once I become a billionaire, in God's will, that I will be, first of all, I'll have so much opportunity to give to those who are formerly incarcerated, right? Because I have a deep affinity for that. I actually started a nonprofit called the Abundance Code that's specifically targeting men and women who are formerly incarcerated, because I knew that could have been me at any time. And so now I could do more. I could put more money into that population who, a lot of them through mass incarceration, were in jail for things that they didn't necessarily do. And even if they did it, the sentencing was so unfair that it disseminated the Black community. So now I want to give life back to that community. And so I know that my vision is bigger than me. It's about helping the community. It's about the families also, right? Because a lot of people think about the formerly incarcerated, but they don't think about the families of those who are formerly incarcerated, right? And so that's been one of my missions. So I know that becoming a billionaire is going to help propel that, and give back to the community that has raised me. And so I'm willing to sacrifice relationships. I'm willing to sacrifice socializing. I'm willing to sacrifice some of the celebration even, because even as I tell you about all the success that I've been having, I don't really think I've, sat back and really celebrated, because I know there's more to be done. And so I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be a blessing back to the people who have been a blessing to me.
I'm looking forward to seeing that in 5 years.
Yes, sir.
Listen, man. Look at them, tell them how they can reach Ash Cash, and tell them what's coming up. And then leave us with, drop one more words of wisdom, one more bar.
Yeah, I got you. Yo, it's your boy Ash Cash, the financial motivator. Make sure you tap in with me. Go to my website, IamAshCash.com. Follow me on all social media platforms at I am Ash Cash. I need you to know that you are greatness on display, G-O-D. What does that mean? Whether you read the Quran, whether you read the Bible, whether you read the Torah, whether you believe in law of attraction, it all says we are made in the image and likeness of the Most High God. So if God is the greatest, then you are the greatest. Listen. Understand that your only job in life is to display God, which means that's why greatness on display, G-O-D. What that means is you don't have to do in order to have, right? You have to be first. A lot of us are trying to figure out, man, what do I have to do? What do I have to do in order to access the abundance that's my birthright? The question that you need to ask yourself is, who do you have to be? Once you become who God made you to be, then you will access the abundances that's your birthright. That means that stop always focusing on doing busy work and being busy. Become what you desire. If you want to be success or have success, be success. You want to have abundance, be abundant. You want blessings, then be a blessing. You want love, then be love. Just be the things that you desire, and it will be yours in real time.
Listen, thank you, Ash Cash, for being
my
on.
brother. Appreciate you, man.
Thank y'all for joining us. Y'all make sure y'all go follow Ash Cash. Thank you for joining in on the Delayed Gratification Podcast. Love y'all. We'll see y'all soon.